If you've listened to me at all, you know that I love the word audacity. And part of the thing I love about the word audacity is its definition. It means daring and unique and bold. I want to hone in right now on that concept of boldness. Sometimes when I talk about audacity, people call me on that piece of it that's boldness because they say, well, aren't you counseling people to be risky? So I want to talk about the difference between risk and boldness. So first of all, boldness does involve some risk, but just being risky isn't the same as boldness. And the main difference is information. When you just risk, you kind of go off on a wing and a prayer and don't really have your ideas well thought out. But when you're bold, you have information, you have a strategy, you have a plan B, and you get out of your comfort zone and do something that you weren't sure you could do. You know what your objective is, and you're not going to let anything stop you from your objective. That's boldness. Now, you may get roadblocks along the way, but you're going to figure out how to go around them. That's boldness. Risk is kind of doing something not very wise or ill-advised just to take the risk. I think a great example of this is the Union in the Civil War. Of course, I think that's a great example, right? So if you look at the Union Army in the Eastern Theater during the Civil War, the Union Army had a series of generals, and each general took a risk. Well, that's not totally true. The first general refused to take a risk. He wouldn't attack for any reason because he was always sure he was outnumbered. So that's not bold either. That's neither boldness nor risky. He would just keep complaining that he was outnumbered and go back to Washington. Finally, Abraham Lincoln hired some generals or appointed some generals who would take the risk, who would be bold, but they ended up just being risky. They would come down from Washington, D.C. toward Richmond, where the Confederate Army was. They would attack. Sometimes they'd be quite reckless. Sometimes they would attack in the face of overwhelming odds. And then when they would lose, instead of having a strategy, they would just turn around and go back to Washington, D.C. They didn't really gain anything except costing lives. And then Lincoln found Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant was bold. He knew his objective was Richmond, Virginia. And so, yes, he took the risk. He went down and he attacked the Confederate Army. And when he lost, he just went around him. And that's the bold move. He had a plan B. He had a strategy. When he'd lose again, he'd just go around him. So you don't have to be risky, but victory goes to the bold. So make sure you have an objective. Make sure you have all the information you need, including a plan B and how it fits into your strategy. And you will see the payoff of being bold without having to be risky.